Hello, viewing several. Here we are again, back with Kazakhstan's favourite son, and somebody else's favourite son. Cue the thing.
I'm 37. What? I'm 37. I'm not old.
So yeah, in a first for the channel, I decided to invite my dad along. Wasn't sure where to start or, what to try for our first time reacting to something together. So I just thought I'd play it safe almost in going with an artist that I've come to know and respect through the channel, but he hadn't. So yeah, let's just see how this works out. Obviously, when it comes to the end, let me know what you thought as far as the two of us doing things together now and then. But yeah, father and son reaction time. Hello, viewing several. So yes, first of all, awkward introductions out of the way first. To my left here is my father, who I've invited on today to basically to join me in this whole reaction bit that I'm trying out. I will be showing him an artist he's not familiar with, but you guys know, if you've been with the channel for more than a couple of months, that I've started to get into, just to get his take on it. Now I'll throw over and say, Father Dearest, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have a different idea or opinion about the music. I've been around music one way or another for 60 years. I was a cathedral chorister when I was 10 years old. I'm now a classically trained baritone. But I often say that my taste is from Handel to Hendrix and everything in between, and probably more than that. I think what I'm determined to do is not to be like Jack Whitehall's dad and just sort of go, rubbish, all that sort of you young generation. I have no idea how I'm going to react.
I've sort of eased you into that in that sense, because like you say about the whole Handel to Hendrix, I think I get that from you. I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And with this particular chap, we're very much going more towards the Handel side of things, actually.
Oh, interesting.
In terms of,
okay. Yeah.
Well, yes and no, actually. The chap I'm going to be introducing you to today, I always get his surname wrong, so please don't hate me, viewers. I'll just go with Dimash for the moment, because his surname I always muddle up. Kazakhstan singer, came to prominence, well, I think about 10 years ago now, or maybe just under. Somebody who's performed all over the world in various languages, has a massive following, is considered, certainly by his fan base, to be basically the best singer in the world. That's how they like to frame it anyway. And when you come to actually see the performance, you can see probably where they get that from. He mostly performs, I'd say, classical stuff. He's worked with famous composers in the past. But in this particular case, it's a piece that's from a 1970s French rock opera. That obviously I'd never heard of. Where's the title? SOS d'un terrien une détresse. You know more French than me. You probably could just figure that out anyway. But it's from a 1978, I think, rock opera composed by Michel Berger. Don't know what it's about. I've never really looked at the lyrics, but just purely from a performance standpoint, it's a decent starting place for him.
Of course.
I think.
Canadian French cyberpunk rock opera written in 76. And it's Michel Berger. Yes, Starmania was the name of the opera.
See, there's you doing more research than I literally ever do. I find out about stuff in the comment section. I go, oh, interesting, and then I don't usually look it up in much detail.
It turns out that
before.
Tim Rice did an English version called Tycoon.
Ah.
Which included Celine Dion, Cyndi Lauper, Tom Jones, Kim Carnes.
Oh, that would be interesting to dig up. It would be fascinating to see what that looked like.
Yeah.
Okay, so this performance of SOS is from a online concert that was done in 2021 during, the pandemic. So this was, a pandemic concert essentially that was put on in 2021.
Pourquoi je vis, pourquoi je meurs, pourquoi je ris, pourquoi je pleure. Voici le SOS d'un terrien en détresse. J'ai jamais eu que sur terre. J'aimerais me prendre à mon sang. Je suis soldat de ma peau. Je t'ai voulu montagne aveugle. Sans jamais s'attrape au pauvre
Okay. Well, fascinating. First time I've ever seen him. Clearly extremely flexible. I imagine he's got a huge octave range. I've got to say, my slight concern before we go too much further is this a freak show? He's on there because he's got X octaves range. I don't know if the song needed that number of octaves. I thought it was a bit clumsy, his going down to the baritone and then coming back up. Amazing voice, pretty pure. I wonder what it's like when he sings other stuff, when he's not trying to show off a range of octaves. That's just a wonder. I'm not saying it's wrong.
No, sure, yeah. Not having heard the original, I don't know if that's how it's composed that way, or if it's just his style.
It would be unusual for somebody to compose something that needed that bigger range of octaves, because there's so few singers that could do that. I mean, I think, I don't know how many, but I think Celine Dion's got 4 octaves or something. It is freaky to have that number of octaves. I wasn't very keen at the beginning. There's been quite a fashion to do breathy singing. That's been around for a few years, which you do by constricting your false vocal folds. So you've got to speak a bit like this and sing a bit like this.
Sure, yeah.
That's a professional. You learn how to do that professionally if it's required. I felt it got a bit overdone, and I was worried that was going to be the whole song. But then, his clear voice came through. Great, as much as I've seen so far.
Sure.
And I've no doubt that it will continue to be in the same style. So, only concerns: am I watching somebody who's just really a bit of a freak? Or has he got something really musical to add? I don't know. Does he write songs as well?
I believe so. My experience so far has been of just literally a handful of performances where they are songs that are either composed for him.
Sure.
Like where there's a Russian composer whose name I've forgotten again. And, pieces like this that aren't originals of his, but, are from other sources.
No,
I think he has... I'm as certain as I can be, considering how long he's been, recording and touring. I'm sure he has done some original stuff.
Right.
I couldn't swear to it, and I don't know any off the top of my head. So far, it's just been pieces written for him, or pieces that are other people's that he's covered so far that I've come across.
Should we do a bit more?
Why the hell not?
Je te jure, confondez la vie avec le point dessiné. Jusqu'en deux envies, tu me tiens ma force. Je sens quelque chose qui m'attire, qui
with that little flourish, thought we'd just dip back in for a second before we get to the very end. So, similar feelings or concerns that we have a proper rock opera bit, or
Yeah, it was interesting. To be honest, I kept wanting to shut my eyes and not be distracted by the effects. Here we've stopped at a place where he's clearly meant to have angel's wings behind him. What's my new concern? My new concern is there's quite a high reliance on electronic effects in this particular instance to enhance his voice. There's somebody actually controlling electronic effects on his voice to add at particular moments extra echo, bits of distortion, that sort of stuff. Which I think, in a way, is perhaps that's the style. To me, it's a slight shame because it'd be quite interesting to just hear him sing. At times, the backing music, particularly the drums, were out of balance. He was actually fighting against those to really get for us to really concentrate on his voice. But that's a stage show. It's not as balanced, of course, as in a studio where you'd remix to get that right. So yeah, I'm kind of the same at the moment. Yeah, okay, good. Let's hear him sing without lots of electronic effects and amplification. He's got. It's quite interesting. He goes into an operatic style.
Yeah.
But of course, the thing you've got to remember is opera singers don't use microphones. It's their voice that carries. So that's why, for me to say much more, I'd probably want to hear him sing something without all of the stuff going on around him. Apart from the range, it's not the most challenging piece of music to sing. There's a couple of melodies and jump up and down a bit, but that's kind of it really at the moment. We're not hearing anything musically very clever.
Okay, all right. We'll see.
But
maybe there'll be something really surprising.
Great, it's fine. There's nothing to stop me at the moment except to go, well, if this was the whole album, I think I'd be pretty bored after about track 2.
Okay. Well, let's see if the last minute and a bit offers anything surprising.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. As I sit here, I don't 100% remember what that wasn't me going, prepare yourself. It was more me going, how does it end?
No, I think it'll do the same. But yeah, go. You say when.
Okie dokie.
Pourquoi je vis? Pourquoi je meurs? Pourquoi je ris? Pourquoi je pleure?
So, in the closing minute and a bit, anything surprising happen?
I really, I'm going to take this as an opera, okay, for the moment.
Fine.
Because it is from an opera. In an opera, you want to know the context of the song. This looks like it's a fairly standard operatic device, which is called the death aria. You're singing this just before you kick it.
Yeah.
Either you jump off a bridge or you know you're going to be killed, and it feels like it feels like it's full of tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he seems to be working really, really, really hard for us to get that, which I find a bit off-putting, because I'm back to where I was. Am I meant to be noticing his facial expressions and the falling to his knees and the added echo effects to get the emotion, or should I be just hearing it from his voice? You know, I mean, the one that you've probably seen other reaction videos for. Oh, I don't know. Well, the obvious one is Luciano Pavarotti doing Nessun Dorma.
Sure. Yeah.
If you watch the absolute or apparent lack of effort by him to create the sounds that he makes, and the role of the orchestra in that, it's a very different kind of thing to this.
Sure. Okay.
I still feel the backing is too dominant. Yeah, it still feels like it's a battle going on at the moment.
Okay.
I'd really like to hear some more, and I'd really like to hear him doing something which is not as overtly dramatic as that. My concern is always, if you've got that much electronic effects going on around you, why is that? You know, what are we meant to be looking at here? Are we meant to be watching an electronic show? Great, okay. Or are we meant to be listening to somebody sing? Maybe they're different.
Fair enough. No, it's okay. I understand that. I'll tell you what. To that end, throwing it to the viewing several, just saying, what recommendations are there as far as, because the stuff I've seen so far has been similar in terms of it is a, you know, it isn't without big, you know, effects and instrumentation, and you know there isn't, you know, a lot of buzz and a lot of noise going on around him. As far as, I'd be fascinated to get recommendations from, you know, fans of his, of, oh, here's an example of where, without any bells and whistles, without a light show, without even a big sort of orchestral accompaniment, here's him just singing.
I almost feel like I should be moved more by this, but I'm distracted by the histrionics and over theatrical approach to it.
Fair enough. Yeah, that might be that. So it might be a staging thing as opposed to anything
else.
Yeah. That if we had a piece that is much more him just doing what he does, just
singing.
doing the singing.
Yeah. I mean, what this guy's got, Dimash, what Dimash has got is real voice all the way through the range. For men, a lot of men can sing high, but in what we call a falsetto voice. So it's sort of a sort of voice like this where you're just making it up. And that's not really singing, but it's necessary to get the high notes. I don't have that. I don't have a falsetto. I can only go up to about a top F, top G. Yeah, I mean, you know, there is no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that this guy has an amazing voice through all the range. I still stay with, oh, I hope they haven't therefore turned him into a freak show.
Right, yeah. Okay, on that note, because I just know you say the word freak show and just people go, what do you mean? I understand what you're saying there. I would say that, based on what my limited experiences of him up until this point and his fan base, etc., no, it is more I mean, for my part, when I first saw this piece and everything, I was pretty much, I think, like most people in the sense where I was just going, wow, he's going there and he's going there and he's going, you know, I was sort of into the theatricality of it and sort of wasn't thinking of it in a similar. Hence why you're here. You're thinking things in a different frame of reference.
By the way, you know, please don't be upset by my meaning by saying freak show. He is a freak. You know, that is not a normal vocal range. So he is a freak of nature that allows him to do that. That's nothing on his personality or anything like that. Normal people can't sing like that. He is extra normal. He's got a vocal range that almost shouldn't exist, and very, very few people have that vocal range in the world.
Sure. So I think I have to assume, again, just based on my limited experience of him and the interactions I've had with his fan base through comments, etc., is yes, there's the look at this extraordinary person's ability element of it, but I think the people who go with him, as far as going to his shows, buying the albums, etc., I've been told on many occasions he is a extremely just nice, friendly, humble person who's always very
Sure.
sweet and lovely to all the musicians that he works with and the composers that write pieces for him, and is somebody who's done work that apparently has, touched and moved people beyond, just going enjoying the spectacle element. That's where I need to hear more stuff where he's actually performing and singing in a way that actually makes me go, ooh, something, rather than, because at the moment, admittedly, my reactions and what have you to him have been mostly, wow, that's impressive, instead of going, that is stirring something in me emotionally, or connecting with me on that level. And that could be a language barrier thing, because everything I've seen so far has been an Italian piece, and
but that's the thing, Nick. You watch any reaction videos, almost nobody knows what Nessun Dorma.
No, sure. Even as I said it, I thought, no, hang on, that's rubbish. No, the language is a barrier. No, you're right.
No, that's isn't it? And it's an interesting point that you make here. I was reading an article the other day that they're saying that, I'll use the term pop for the moment.
Okay.
Pop stars have overtaken film stars in the notion of popularity. And it's because, for example, Taylor Swift, what people really identify with is the person themselves. And you just talked about Dimash and saying he's a nice person, etc. Whereas, of course, film stars are never themselves, they're actually somebody else. It seems that the current fan expectation is that the person will be a nice person that they can identify with their values, as well as the voice and what they sing. And actually a lot of their songs reflect on their lives, etc. So they are authentic, as it were, which is strangely quite a new phenomenon. No opera singer was ever singing about themselves. They were singing about some bonkers character. No film star was ever playing themselves. They were playing somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's quite an interesting thing that's occurring more and more, that you have expectations of the singer's personality and character as well as the performance that they do.
Yeah, because admittedly, I would have to assume at least, if Pavarotti was a bit of a bastard,
Which you
don't imagine, but doesn't stop people, would never stop people wanting to go and see a performance of
No, because it was a performance.
Yeah.
That's right. It was him singing somebody else's stuff and being another character. It's an open secret in the industry that Celine Dion was not an easy person to deal with. But she was, unlike right now, she wasn't really singing about herself. She was singing other people's stuff, and it didn't matter. Hence the Swifties.
Which, I have to say, I pretty much am one now. I'm gutted I'm not going to see her when she's in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Because I'll admit, listening to her latest album especially, check it out on the channel if you haven't already, it genuinely, there are songs there, even if they're about her personal circumstance, or are shaped on things about herself, which in the back of your mind, or you're a big fan, you know all the details. I don't know the lurid details of her personals because I don't care. But it connects emotionally. And
like
songs,
Adele. Guess what? That's the whole success secret of Adele.
And that's the thing of maybe the thing that obviously I haven't gotten to yet, because I'm super early doors with Dimash, is I haven't gotten to pieces that are in the same vein, not necessarily style-wise, but, pieces that actually make me evoke more in me than just, gosh, he's a great singer.
Therefore, the real challenge, and I'm sure it exists, by the way, is let's hear something that he wrote. Not that was written for him, because I bet if people write for him, they'll write for the voice, not for him.
I know there'll be opinions expressed there that will make some people go, hang on a minute, because the general reaction for most folks when they, like with me, when I first encountered Dimash, was just to be bowled over and to only have very, very, like purely positive and purely praisey, oh my goodness things to say. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted my dad involved, because I know that his perspective and his attitude is one that's not going to, well, as you heard, it has a lot more roots in technical questions and expertise that I don't have. Please leave in the comments genuine suggestions for where we could go next, either not just with Dimash, but maybe with some other similar kinds of performers where there's more to connect with emotionally and it isn't quite so razzle dazzle, and again, stuff that he's written himself, because I have to imagine something like that exists. So I appreciate any suggestions on that front. Otherwise, be as kind as you can in the comments. Don't get all offended or annoyed or whatever. And if you do, you're welcome to. You know I don't care.
Yeah. By the way, I don't mind if you're offended or annoyed, so long as it's justified. You know, I don't hate him or anything like that. This is my opinion based on my professional experience.
No, for sure. Again, most of the people who view and subscribe are decent people who do take things as they're as they're intended and don't go off on one, just preempting it because it's the internet. Otherwise, yes, please leave comments, like it if you liked it. Do that thing you usually do down below. But yeah, as always,
Goodbye forever.
Splendid and chips. Okay, going to hit stop on the recordy bit.